News coming out of North Korea is minimal, but there are a lot of things we do know about this mostly closed-off country. It may be right next door to South Korea, but there are some extreme differences between the two. From what they eat to how tall they are, and even what they listen to. We'll show you 10 ways in which North Korea is different than South Korea. Before we get started, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. To make sure you're the first to see the latest videos from TheHub, join our notification squad as well. Internet. For most of us, the internet is something we tend to take for granted. After all, we can easily access it from our phones almost anywhere. In North Korea, even just getting access to a device that can connect to the internet is a huge challenge. You have to get a permit just for the privilege of getting online, and only high-ranking or wealthy people qualify. Then, you have to be able to afford a computer, which is impossible for the vast majority of the population. If you manage all that and log into the good old World Wide Web, well, enjoy all 28 websites. That's right, North Korea only has 28 websites, and they're mostly just North Korean propaganda. They're also slow, basic, and don't update frequently. And no, they can't use Facebook or other social media sites, although they do have their own knockoff version of Facebook that only other people in North Korea can use. Meanwhile, in South Korea, they enjoy the fastest average internet connection anywhere in the world at 28 megabits per second. For reference, the United States didn't even crack the top 10 and has an average speed of 15.3 megabits per second. South Korea has an advantage due to their incredible population density, making it easier and cheaper to deliver faster internet. Statistics. Sometimes it's helpful to look at some good old data when comparing two things. Let's start with something that's important to many of us, freedom of the press. In terms of 2017 World Press Freedom, North Korea currently ranks last in the 180th spot, whereas South Korea is number 63. People in South Korea tend to live 12 years longer overall, living to an average age of 82, while people in North Korea only live to 70 on average. As for how many people live in each country, North Korea has about 25.26 million citizens, while South Korea has about double that, 50.62 million. Now that we know a bit about the health and life expectancy of its citizens, let's see how much each country's economic health is looking by observing the gross domestic product, or GDP. The GDP of North Korea is 12.38 billion in US dollars, while South Korea has a GDP of 1.38 trillion US dollars. Per capita, that's $583 for North Korea and $27,221 for South Korea. Those are some huge differences that really help paint a picture for the disparity between the two neighboring countries. Military. If you've ever tuned in for a televised North Korean parade, you know that their military is a big deal to them. Both countries have compulsory military service, and in South Korea, all men must serve for 2 years. In North Korea, men are required to serve in the military for a decade, and women must serve from the time they graduate high school until they're 23 years old. It's estimated that out of every 1,000 members of the population, 47.8 are active in the military in North Korea. That means that their active military is about 1.2 million members strong, and their total forces are about 5 million. Meanwhile, in South Korea Armed Forces, there are an estimated 3.7 million members total, including both active and reserve members. However, despite having twice the population of North Korea, their active duty military is nearly half of North Korea's, with 625,000 members. As far as military costs go, North Korea spends about 22% of its GDP on its military, while South Korea spends about 2.8%. Keep in mind, though, that South Korea has a much higher GDP to start with, so even though they spend a smaller percentage than North Korea, they spend many more dollars total on high-quality military equipment and training. Government. We hear so much about the wacky antics of North Korea's supreme leader Kim Jong-un that most of us don't give a lot of thought to the government in South Korea. In addition to hogging all the cheese, Kim Jong-un does tend to hog the spotlight a bit. South Korea's government isn't too different from the American one that many of us are used to. They have a constitution of their own, known as the Constitution of the Republic of Korea, and their government is divided into 3 branches: executive, judicial, and legislative. At various points in history, they've experienced military dictatorships, but they've since developed into a liberal democracy. In fact, according to the Corruption Perception Index published by Transparency International, South Korea ranked 52 in 2016, while North Korea was in last place, number 176. In theory, North Korea also has 3 branches of government, but it's not quite so clear-cut as it is in other countries. In reality, it's a totalitarian dictatorship. People in North Korea do actually vote, and in fact are forced to do so. But it's really just a way to keep tabs on the public and acts as a census, since there is only one candidate possible for each position. Music. Since they only have 28 websites to look at, clearly people in North Korea are rather limited in what they can consume entertainment-wise. Popular music from South Korea is also popular all over the world, and is commonly referred to as K-pop. But does North Korea have any bands like Girls' Generation? Well, to start with, they do indeed have musical artists there, and their most popular North Korean K-pop band is called Moranbang. Each woman in the group is hand-selected by Kim Jong-un, and when they debuted in 2012, it was quite surprising for a number of people. The girls are dressed in ways that regular citizens would not be allowed to, and they are quite talented. However, while singers in South Korea sing about a wide variety of subjects, not so much in North Korea. Southern Korean band Six Bomb made headlines when they released songs about their plastic surgeries. Meanwhile, Morangbang sings about, you guessed it, their supreme leader. Being a K-pop star anywhere is tough, but in North Korea, people have literally been in prison for singing songs deemed inappropriate. Karaoke night in North Korea must be a real blast. Movies. You probably guessed that people in North Korea can't exactly fire up Netflix and binge on Orange is the New Black. Like most things in North Korea, their film industry is chock full of propaganda. South Korea has a long history of making exceptional films, such as the popular thriller Old Boy. In fact, North Korea's most successful films were made by a South Korean man named Shin Sang-ok. Shin did this less out of the kindness of his heart and more because he was kidnapped under the orders of Kim Jong-il. Surprisingly, Kim Jong-il was a huge movie fan and was known to have a huge collection of movies that were illegal for anyone else in North Korea to own. He lamented his own country's lack of cinematic success, so he ordered the kidnapping of Shin and his wife, actress Choi Yin-hee. The two made many films, which were focused much less on propaganda than other North Korean films, and were therefore pretty successful. The pair eventually managed to escape while they were promoting their film, and thus ended North Korea's successful film industry. Also, while people in South Korea may take in a film for fun, screening movies and providing glowing feedback is compulsory in North Korea, so we really can't say for certain if the people there generally enjoy them or not. Tourism. We know what you're thinking by now. North Korea sounds like an awesome place, and we can't wait to visit. Well, sadly, there are a lot of rules and regulations in place if you want to visit that go far beyond just being respectful of their culture. If you have any plans of exploring on your own, good luck with that. You will have to be constantly monitored by special tour guides, and you're only allowed to visit certain pre-approved locations. Before going anywhere, you'll be briefed on the many rules you're expected to follow, and for your own sake, you'd better follow them. If you want to take in the sights of tons of pictures of past and present supreme leaders, North Korea is definitely the place for you. But just don't get caught trying to spread information about the outside world, or you can easily be imprisoned, and your home country would likely have a lot of trouble actually freeing you. If you'd like to visit South Korea, it's really not much different than visiting anywhere else that's different from your home. Read up about the culture, be polite, and follow the rules, and you'll be just fine. Height. Seeing Kim Jong-un grinning widely next to his massive missiles, it's clear that he thinks size is pretty important. Unfortunately for the supreme leader, people in North Korea are actually shorter than people in South Korea. People in South Korea are about 3 inches taller than their North Korean counterparts, and this difference is especially noticeable when you look at children. It's tough to get good data on this, since North Korea gets weird if you show up and start trying to measure their citizens. But studies have been done regarding refugees from North Korea. Because the two populations have the same background, genetics can't be the reason for the division in height. Instead, it's believed that the disparity is due to the lack of quality nutrition in North Korea. Eating well when you're a child is essential to proper growth, and children in North Korea are missing out on essential nutrients at important times in their development. South Korea, on the other hand, is experiencing economic growth, and its citizens are getting taller as they have increasing access to high quality and plentiful amounts of food. Although women are typically shorter than men, it's getting to the point where the average woman in South Korea is approaching the height of the average North Korean man. Poverty. As we mentioned, South Korea is currently experiencing a period of economic growth, but that's something that people in North Korea have no idea about. You see, propaganda in the North likes to depict people in the South as constantly poor and hungry, when nothing could be further from the truth. Meanwhile, North Korea seems to be in denial about how impoverished its own country is. Many of its citizens are starving, while it spends huge amounts of money on the military. It's estimated that 40% of the population in North Korea lives below the poverty line. They subsist on simple foods such as corn and kimchi, but struggle to cook these items due to lack of sufficient fuel. That lower than South Korea life expectancy we mentioned earlier, it's fallen by 5 years since the 1980s due to poor standards of living. Food shortages are common and severe, but don't worry. The North Korean government is doing everything possible to address the situation. They've come up with a 2 meals a day campaign to encourage people to simply eat less. Genius! According to the United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization, 84% of households in North Korea have borderline or poor food consumption. Beauty. Many of us probably can't imagine a life without our classic denim jeans, but they're nothing more than a pipe dream for people in North Korea. Many forms of Western fashion are forbidden over there, including short skirts, piercings, and even certain hairstyles. It's only recently that any woman could even wear pants at all in North Korea. Prior to the rule of Kim Jong-un, any woman caught wearing pants could have her pants slit open in public to become a skirt. South Korea has its own evolving fashion trends, but women are nowhere near as limited as they are in North Korea, and can wear whatever they like for the most part. They also love enhancing their look with makeup, and many refuse to leave the house without it. In North Korea, there is a burgeoning black market for cosmetics, and surprisingly, those made in South Korea are the most desired and expensive. They're said to be better quality than the cosmetics made in North Korea or even China. While women in North Korea may not be able to slip into a pair of blue jeans, at least she might be wearing the same flawless eyeliner as someone in South Korea. Clearly, the differences between North and South Korea are rather stark to say the least. With our knowledge of North Korea so limited, who knows what other differences exist that we don't know about yet? For countries so close to one another, it seems like they're worlds apart in almost all areas. To find out more amazing things regarding the world around us, check out some more videos from The Hub. Don't forget to like our video, and we'll see you next time.